Right, so this is Ringwalk Media. We're here at Walkden ABC with the legendary Jamie Moore and all of his students. I mean, cracking open day today from Boxer.
Yeah, it's been ace. You know, we're privileged to be in the position where we got asked if we'd host this event, and it's been great for the kids because obviously the first time they've ever got to sort of interact and be involved in anything to do with the media and stuff like that. So really exciting for them all, and we've invited all clubs from all over the northwest down to be involved in the last part of it. So it's been great for everyone.
Now listen, you've got one of your students next to you, didn't want to come on camera, but you dragged her on. So tell us all about this young lady.
She's not from our gym. So which club are you at?
South Cheshire ABC.
South Cheshire ABC. She come to my professional gym to have a session one time, and she's just she's just blagged her dad to bring her down next week to have a session, which she said she was more than welcome to come down, and now I've just been informed that when she turns professional, she's going to come and train with us, and I'm going to coach her. So I wasn't even really asked, to be honest. I was told, and I just accepted it, no problem.
You, young lady, will go a long way. What's your name?
Kyra Davis.
Right, well, we've got to look out for that name, haven't we?
Remember the name, Kyra Davis, future world champion. She's going to follow in the footsteps of Chantal Cameron, be undisputed champion, but we don't know what weight do you reckon?
No pressure.
Not too sure, not too heavy.
Not too heavy. What do you reckon, 126, featherweight, something like that maybe?
Shall we let you go, young lady? Do you want to go? Yeah, she does. Nice to see you. Listen, Jamie, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Of course it is, yeah. I mean, the reason I opened this gym was because, like, it was an area what needed it, and I understand the impact of an amateur boxing club can have on an area like this. I've grown up here all my life, and so you know, it creates better people in the long run. So for this area in particular, you know, we can't affect people what are out of our reach, but we can affect our own little communities. And I thought, if I do this here, I know what a boxing gym can do. For people in the long run, you won't see the impact overnight, but over the next sort of 5 to 10 years, you'll start seeing the difference, and already we, you know, creating better human beings. So then, you know, add on to that, then you get the odd one, like, you know, for instance, Caris, and it's like when you're giving them opportunities, their dreams and ambitions might not have been realised if it wasn't on the doorstep. So you know, she's not from this area, but just through the beauty of social media, she got in contact with me and was able to come down to my gym. So then, in the long run, then the kids what come in my gym here, I bring my pros down here every now and again just to say hello and mix with them. And it makes it more real for them, because they see him on TV and it doesn't seem real. But then when they see him in the person, they think, God, you know what? If they could do that, well, why can't I do that? But for me, in general, these type of places, you don't see the impact of it, because you never see the person who's got a normal job, but because of an amateur boxing club when they was growing up, they've got more resilience, more respect, better work ethic. You know, it creates better people in general.
Communities thrive from things like this, you know. Absolutely. And like you said, the next 5 to 10 years is when you'll see a massive difference in the local area, because, like you've just said, people have jobs, they go to work, they have a family. They may not have even gone down that path.
I don't even think they understand the impact themselves. A lot of them do. I mean, I'll be sat here taking the subs one night, and I'll see people coming in with their kids who used to come to my amateur boxing club that 2 or 3 miles down the road, and they're going, yeah, I wanted them to do it because, you know, I understand the impact it had on my life, and I want them to have the same. And I just think, fuck, it's just beautiful. You know, I love, you know, what boxing can do for people. You don't see the impact on it. Every now and again, you'll see someone who's a world champion on telly, and you see how it's changed their life, but it changes your life in so many other ways what people don't see day in, day out.
And not a lot of people are actually doing this. You know, you are in effect in a minority of coaches. A lot of coaches go and coach kids, but they don't actually put their money into where their mouth is, I guess, and help the community like this. So it's testament to yourself and your team that you've invested in the local area that you've been in all your life.
Do you know what? It's not been cheap. And especially now, you know, everyone's bills have gone up, and it's just a constant sort of sponge for money. But and I think obviously initially it's got to be an unselfish act, because I just wanted to do it because I understand the impacts of a boxing gym, and I thought, you know what, the kids deserve it. I got the opportunity in my amateur club, and it opened. I went the first day, I turned pro 7 years later, and a year after that it had to close down. So if it wasn't for that happening, my life would be so different. And I just remember thinking to myself, I want to do that because if I give one kid the opportunity to change their life, it'd be worth it. Already, we're changing so many kids' lives, and you know, I'm just hoping that this gym can stay open for 100 years, because each generation then will create better people, and it's a conveyor belt for better people, and that's all I ever wanted.
Hear, hear. So listen, let's talk about the two main men and women in your life, I guess, apart from the missus, of course. Let's go with Jack first of all. Frustrating time for the lads. What's happening?
Mate, frustrating 3 years. You know, more than probably 3.5 years, and you know, going back to before the Taylor fight, him allowing the step aside for Taylor to become undisputed with the promise that I'd fight him. It eventually came round and he got his shot, but it was like nearly a 2-year wait. And it happened, and then he's waited over 12 months again for the rematch to not happen. So, you know, they're in talks with Prograde to try and make that fight, and hopefully that can get over the line for the WBC, which, if he can win that, it will make the rematch with Taylor in the long run even bigger. But hopefully they can get that fight over the line. He needs to be active. That's the main thing, is he needs to be fighting, because you know, he's 30 years old now, and you know, 15 months inactivity before the Taylor fight, and now 13 months activity at least now, which is probably going to be in the 15. It's not good for anyone at any stage. So he's so diligent and professional, because he stays in the gym. He doesn't let himself get out of shape. His timing never goes. He spars once a week just to keep it there. So he's lucky in that sense. And if he gets to fight and it's in 6 weeks' time, he can take it like that.
Well, we keep our fingers crossed, because he's a nice lad. He works hard, like you say, and he's actually been very kind to other boxers by stepping aside and allowing those situations to happen. So fingers crossed for him. We really hope that Prograde fight comes about very quickly. And another quick fight called Chantel Cameron against Katie Taylor, and that was done in about a week.
Yeah, less than a week. You know, Katie called her out. Katie had a date set, and the Serrano fight was postponed, looking like it was going to have to get pushed back, and she didn't want that date to lose that date. And she called out the toughest opponent out there for her, in my eyes. So you know, the girl's putting the lads to shame in many ways, because there was no sort of 3 or 4 week negotiating, going back and forward, no social media stuff apart from the post what Katie initially put out, and then inside a week the fight was signed and done.
We were in Dublin with Peter Taylor at the time it was announced they were going to fight, and a few days before it was going to fight, and he turned around and said that's a harder fight than Serrano. That's a massive, massive fight. You know, she's really, really held in high regard, Chantal.
Listen, we've always had huge amount of respect for Katie for what she's done in the sport, the type of person she is. You know, she's a beautiful person. She's a beautiful fighter. She's unbelievably talented, and you give her even more respect now for taking on the toughest challenge in a homecoming. I got asked this question a couple of weeks before. You know, there was question marks about Serrano, and they said, "Do you think Katie will take the fight with Chantel in Dublin?" And I wasn't doing this in a disrespectful way. I was just being honest. I said, "Do you know what? I can't see it because, in all honesty, in a homecoming fight in Dublin, why would she want to fight Chantel? Because it's a really tough fight." I wasn't saying it in a disrespectful way. I was being honest, and so again, that's why I've got a huge amount of respect for her, because she didn't have to take it, and she has done. So hats off to her.
And it's going to be an absolute belter of a fight, and it's a great undercard as well. You know, it's building up to probably be the female fight of the year, I think.
It's got written all over it, the best female fight what's ever took place so far. Certainly in terms of prestige, there's never been a fight what's taken place where two reigning undisputed champions have fought each other. So that in itself is making history. But I just feel that in terms of styles, it's going to gel properly, and you've got one of the most beautiful, talented boxers ever in Katie Taylor against one of the most aggressive, strongest female fighters you've ever come across in Chantel Cameron coming together. It's got the blend of styles is going to be unbelievable.
We saw Chantel a couple of weeks back on the Matchroom card over in London. London? Where were we? London? Where were we? I can't remember where we were. But on the last Matchroom card, and she just looked like she could get in the ring now.
Yeah. She was penciled into box 1st of April on the AJ undercard, And this fight sort of started getting spoke about halfway through camp, and then when we realised that it was actually going to happen in that week, then we just took our foot off the gas, and she sort of slowed training down, and we sort of recalibrated her, so to speak, and just made sure we shifted things in terms of making weight and sort of peaking at the right time. We just slowed things down and remapped out our training.
It was Liverpool, by the way. I knew it was somewhere like that. It wasn't far away.
Yeah, it began with L.
And Eddie, we asked him the question because they're two, in effect, 50-50 fighters, both at the top of their tree. Who goes in as the underdog? He literally said Chantelle goes in as the underdog only because it's in Dublin.
Yeah, I think rightly so. You know, Chantelle's my fighter, but if you look on the pedigree and the terms of who's had the bigger wins and better wins, then Katie Taylor has. But you know, again, going back to Jack Catterall fighting Josh Taylor, people was asking me, why have you got so much confidence in Jack? And I say, I'm with him day in, day out. I understand what he can do. He hasn't actually had the opportunity to show it on the level, but once he does, you'll understand. And he did. And the same for Chantelle. You know, she's not just beat every fighter she's been in there with. She's done a number on them. You know, I think Mary McGee's her toughest fight, to be honest with you, and she's a very, very good fighter, and Chantelle absolutely bossed it. So Katie Taylor's a different level of, you know, class, and you know, have we seen some little vulnerabilities in Katie? Yes, we have, because she's been around longer than Chantelle has. So I'm no doubt the longer Chantelle goes on, we'll see some vulnerabilities. But I just feel like I've got a fighter in Chantelle who's got the tools in her arsenal to exploit those vulnerabilities.
Time is right, as they say.
Timing's everything in boxing, and you know, I'm not saying Katie's past it. In many ways, she's probably in a peak because she's got more experience under her belt. And the Serrano fight, for me, even though she had that middle part of the fight where she struggled and she come through a hell of a, you know, sticky patch, it shows what she's got left to be able to come through it. You know, if she was finished and shot, she'd have probably got stopped in that middle part of that fight, but she gritted her teeth, she dug in, and
it's going to be a belter, isn't it?
Maybe that could be her undoing with Chantelle, because if she shows that type of heart and determination, then that could fall into our hands.
Well, listen, the only winners are the public, because they're going to get an absolute spectacle to two women at the top of their tree going at it. And also, if Jack gets his fight, it'd be so good to see him back out again. Now, one funny thing to finish with, Nigel. Thank God he's not here, because trousers would have been down, I'm sure, with an audience like this.
We've had a girls' class on tonight, so if he'd have gone round here pulling people's pants down, he'd have been in trouble.
He seems to be getting called Nigel Davis on social media. It's driving him mad, isn't it?
Mate, listen, Carl Frampton did an interview with a paper in Belfast, and they misprinted his name. So we're not going to let him live that down now. That's it. From this point on, he's Nigel Davis.
Well, we're going to call him Nigel Davis from now on.
I've changed him in my phone book. He's called Nigel Davis.
Well, listen, Jamie, absolutely commendable what you're doing here in your gym over in Walkden. It's been an absolute cracking afternoon, and we really hope that all the kids carry on and develop and keep coming like you want them to. We wish all your fighters the best, and it's been a pleasure speaking to you, mate.
Thank you very much. Best thing I've ever done in boxing, this.
Good way to end.
Cheers, pal.